Welcome to Novelty with the Apple iPhone 6 Plus here in a short comparison with the Sony Xperia Z3. Both beautiful devices, quite huge devices, and actually the iPhone has an even bigger screen with 5.5 inches compared to only 5.1 inches on the Sony Xperia Z3. But you can see, of course, the Sony is a little bit smaller, or you could say shorter, but in terms of thickness they're about the same with 7.1 against 7.3 millimeters, and the Sony has a bigger battery too with 3100 milliamps against 2900 milliamps here with the Apple iPhone. Both have beautiful cameras. We have 1.2 megapixel versus actually 2 megapixel here with Sony, and on the back there is a 20 megapixel camera here with a single flash, and we have a dual flash with 8 megapixel where we can only record full HD with the Apple, while we can record 4K videos even with the Sony. The NFC works for the Xperia Z3 with anything like Bluetooth speakers to pair payment and stuff like that, while Apple only has Apple Pay built in for the NFC, so you can use a Visa card, MasterCard, or anything like that to pay with your iPhone, but you can't pair more easily or anything with your iPhone 6 Plus. Also, you can easily upgrade your Sony Xperia Z3 Compact in terms of internal memory with the microSD card slot right here to up to 128 gigs more, which is quite nice because those cards are a lot cheaper than upgrading from 16 to 64 for $100 or to 128 gigs from 64 to another $100 on the Apple iPhone, which makes this a $1,000 device, while Sony is still a lot cheaper at $700 plus the card for 100 maybe. Then of course, speed-wise they're about the same, 2 gigs of RAM against 1 gig of RAM, and so on, but I think that's not that quite important, as that the Sony is waterproof, the iPhone of course isn't, but we have here the fingerprint reader built in, which is quite nice to just have your security there. But we have actually at least the dual speakers here in the Sony Xperia Z3, which is I think also quite handy to listen to music while we only have one speaker on the Apple iPhone. Now let's actually try out those cameras I was mentioning before. So let's hit the camera app here on both, and then we can see here on the back that both could shoot beautiful pictures here of this bowl of pumpkin. The wide angle is about the same, I think, and the speed also, but again, we can shoot 4K videos with the Sony, so that's maybe a plus, and maybe even the colors are nicer on the Sony, but you can actually adjust that anyway afterwards, so that's not that important. More important, the selfie camera, I think, if we check that out, the 2 megapixel camera doesn't look as sharp on the Sony as the 1.2 on Apple, and the background is too much backlit on Sony if you ask me, but at least the wide angle to the bottom is a little bit better, and if you check out here the comparison, because you can see my tripod, and with the Apple you actually can't. So there's actually not much else I can say except for both beautiful devices. You have to think hard, I think, which one to get. I would definitely go with Sony because I'm more of an Android fan than an Apple fan, but still, thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. This was the Sony Xperia Z3 Compact, a regular Z3 versus the Apple iPhone 6 Plus in a short comparison.